You are now locked in and listening to The Issue.
This guy is a franchise quarterback, and no, I don't want to hear any pushback on that.
It feels like a top 10 roster to me. It feels like it can win a championship.
This is The Issue.
Yo, what's up? We are back. It is The Issue. Thank you for joining us here on Thursday, October 19th. We got another episode for you today. More NFL to talk. A lot has happened. We are now going into week 7 of the NFL season. It feels good. We are in our stride. I have won predictions. Yet again, a sweep this week. This past week, I guess, moving to 4-2 on the season. Still anybody's race, but feels good to build some momentum. And on the flip, our bets have been fantastic.
I was going to say, why don't I just, because I feel like I at least spark the conversation for most, like I pick most of the bets, and then you kind of filter it, we kind of talk about it.
Yeah.
Why don't I just start picking what I do for the bets? Like, I'm very confused here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because, like, I'm nailing those.
Well, let's not forget, you went out on a limb and took Justin Fields and the Bears this last week.
Right, he's the best quarterback in football. What are you talking about?
Okay,
I think there should be an injury clause for that one. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah, that was
something Badgent or whatever, throwing the ball. Like, does he know that they're not wearing purple? Like, that he's not supposed to throw it to the purple people?
He looked a bit confused. This episode's going to be pretty good, though. We're going to start off with a rant from Tim on the Browns and 49ers game. I would argue that was the most, captivating game to watch of the week.
It was up there. And then our actual game of the week, the Seahawks-Bengals, that was probably number 2. That was up really there. Those were fantastic games.
And that went just the way we thought it would. Another hit for us there. And then speaking of hits and misses will round out the first segment. Into the second segment, our prediction segment. We will have Week 7 predictions and Week 7 bets on a budget. And then into the third segment to round out the show, obviously the news to get things kicked off. And then the game of the week to finish it all up. Hopefully another good one.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's go ahead and start with that wildly captivating game. Of course, Niners missed that field goal at the end. Let's start with the fact that people want to crush Brock Purdy right now. If your favorite quarterback pick, if quarterback blank, right? Quarterback, top 10 quarterback blank, fill in the blank with whoever your favorite top 10 quarterback is, or, top 15, we can debate who's actually top 10, right? Take your Justin Herbert, your Trevor Lawrence, your Mahomes. Even if they had a bad game. Let's take Mahomes at New York, for example, right? At the Jets, right? Rough game. What he's had, two picks. I think he has a fumble, but he recovers it. He looks kind of out of sorts, not quite as efficient, but then gets the ball back, 7 minutes to go, need a drive to milk the clock. Next thing you know, he's sliding at the goal line, right? And we completely forget that Mahomes had a bad game. Yes, Brock Purdy had a bad game, but if you're box score watching, that's your only takeaway from the game. Oh, well, what I tell you, Brock Purdy, when he doesn't have Christian McCaffrey turning those 3-yard runs into 40-yard runs, when Debo is not able to run the ball and catch the ball and block it, he's just not the same. That's exactly what you would say if you only looked at the box score. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Brock Purdy played well. I'm not like, oh, hey, Brock, that's a top 10 performance right there on the road. No, like Brock didn't play well. He knows that. Everybody knows that. But what did he do when he absolutely had to have it? Everybody in the world knows he's throwing. Myles Garrett's on the other side, which I think he's overrated, but let's not lie and say he's not a top 5 pass rusher. He's still really good. They get a pass rush with Zadarius Smith as well. Good corners on the back end. Young, fast linebackers. Everybody in the world knows he has to throw. It's raining, wet, sloppy, windy, on the road. Crowd's on you. What is it, like 2 minutes to go? Something like that, under 2 minutes? Or maybe a little over 2 minutes. Yeah, they still did 2-minute warning. So a little bit over 2 minutes. Drives down the field. Puts him in a spot. I think it was like a 43-yard field goal. If pick your quarterback, if Dak did that, if Kirk did that, if Herbert did that, if Justin Fields did that, you're like, oh my God, that's the kicker's fault. He put him in a position to win the game. What did Brock Purdy do when he absolutely had to have it? He drives him down there. Again, I'm not saying Brock Purdy's great, but when you had to have it, game on the line, to go out there and have that sort of drive with no Debo Samuel, with no Christian McCaffrey, with George Kittle having 1 catch for 1 yard, and it wasn't even on that drive, with a ragtag offensive line as well that was getting beat consistently by the Browns. He drives down there, I think 40-something yards, sets him up for a 43-yard field goal. Rookie kicker pushes it. It's rainy, it's wet, you're on the road. He pushes it in the wind. It is what it is. That's one of the best losses. If that's the way the Niners are going to lose, I think they'll take that any day of the week. So that's my takeaway from the Niners side. Brock Purdy's fine. He's fine. Don't overreact. He didn't have his two best players. Yes, he didn't play well, but when he absolutely had to have it, that's always been the question. It's not, hey, can Brock on a bright sunny Sunday with everybody there play well? But yeah, we've seen it 12 times now? The question was, hey, when he's backed into a corner, can Brock on the road in inclement weather do something for his team? Can he be the catalyst, not just there? Can he be the catalyst, not just the distributor? Yes, he was on Sunday. Kicker missed it. Is what it is. Is what it is. Let's transition to the Browns. I'm not going to say it's a bad win. Because any win in this league is a good win, especially when you beat one of the consensus best teams in football. I would say probably the best team in football. I still believe it after the loss, but and to do it with P.J. Walker. And let's focus on that for a second because I wasn't a Baker fan. If Baker was going to ask for $60 million or even $40 million, I would have let him walk as well. But with that roster, for you to be paying Deshaun Watson all that guaranteed money, Sunday was one of those bittersweet moments where it's hey, we won the game, but we did it with a dude off the couch making like $40. And we still have this guy who is medically cleared to play and is not playing, and we have $200-something million guaranteed in him for the next 4 years, or maybe 5. Like, that is a tough spot to be. And I'm not saying Baker looked good, but over the course of the year, he's looked pretty good. And what P.J. Walker just showed you is that with an average quarterback, with somebody that just doesn't lose you the game, P.J. Walker tried, let me tell you. With just an average quarterback, that roster and that defense and that coaching staff can win a lot of games in this league. Yet instead you have all this money tied up into a guy who, first of all, is not playing. And when he has been playing, hasn't looked very good. Took 2 years off of football. That's hard to come back from. And so, if you're the Browns, the question becomes, what do you do? Because if you want to sit here and try to wait it out for Deshaun Watson, be my guest. I'm a Pittsburgh fan. I hope you keep waiting it out because he plays bad against us. I'm fine with that. Keep waiting it out. But in reality, is this a sustainable method to win? Because whenever this contract really starts to kick in next year, it gets even more punitive against the cap. Remember, the first year was mostly signing bonus, less against the cap. What happens when it really, really kicks in next year, the year after that, the year after that? And you can't pay that second edge rusher. And you only have one good corner. And you don't get to keep both linebackers. And you can't have 2 good tight ends and 2 good backs when Nick Chubb comes back. Right? Like, there's a ceiling on this team. And I think this team, much like the Baker team, is built to win with a cheap quarterback. And we saw that Sunday. But the problem is you don't have a cheap quarterback, and there's no way to get out of it with all that guaranteed money unless you just swallow a massive, massive dead cap hit. So I'm not saying it's a bad win. It's a good win in terms of this season. But bigger picture, macro level, what do you do if you're the Browns? All this guaranteed money tied up in a guy who's not playing, and when he does play, he doesn't play well, and you see a third-string, fourth-string guy go out and beat the best team in football, what do you do? I don't have the answer. I would say try to move off him, but I'm not a capologist. I'm not a G. I don't know how you do that effectively, minimizing the burden of that dead cap hit. But that's kind of my take on that game. Wildly entertaining game. We, of course, called the upset. We got a terrible number, actually, at 4.5, because that was before Deshaun was known to be out. I think we got it at 5, maybe. Ballooned all the way up to like 8.5, but we still hit, obviously, because they won outright. So it was a good game for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised watching that game. I knew the defense in Cleveland was going to be great. I didn't expect them to
be the best defense in 77?
Yes.
That's wild.
To phase the 49ers the way they did, especially when, San Francisco has the power and all the weapons on offense that they do. It was shocking to me to see that. And then on the flip side, I did not expect a backup quarterback in Cleveland to be able to carry the load at least enough to win.
Yeah, because
then you
pass
flip
rating
it,
of like 44, but it was still good enough.
You flip it, and San Francisco's a pretty damn good defense too. On the other side, that's probably the second best defense in the league. So it was impressive either way. It was fun to watch. crazy game. Like you said, I think you even predicted the weather in Cleveland that day. You said it's gonna be rainy,
Yeah.
it's gonna be crappy. It's the mistake on the lake in Cleveland.
It is the mistake on the lake, of course.
So, we were right there. We were right on our game prediction for it as well. So let's continue with this trend of being right into hits and misses. What do you say?
Yeah, I like it.
All right, here we go.
All right, hit number 1. Pats are 4-1 this past week.
It feels great.
I mean, just massive. So I mean, we hit on. Okay, we had Baltimore, Jacksonville. Baltimore was like, I think, -5. Jacksonville was -5.5. We had that Browns upset. Blanking on the other one, but it was a good one. Arizona was the only team that let us down, but it's Arizona. That's expected. That was kind of a leap of faith anyway. We're 18-12 on the year, 60%. Are you kidding me? Come on now.
Yeah, that's great.
Like, come on. We're like that. We're like that.
We are. It's funny because the comments section on that was everybody was saying, don't touch the Browns, don't touch the Browns, don't touch the Browns, and I'm gonna admit it, I was a little weary about that pick as well.
Oh, the Dolphins -13.5 was the other one that hit for us.
Right.
Continue.
But I mean, at the end of the day, we are rolling. You have to tune into bets on a budget. I think this is our best year yet, right?
It's a must tune.
This is our best year.
Up until this point, I mean, there's still plenty of time for it to go awry. But
it would take a sharp
through 6 weeks, I think this is probably the best we've been. This is the best start we've had.
I like it. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, feels good. Miss number 1 here. I keep taking bad quarterbacks and bad rosters in the picks. New rule. Well, I guess old rule being reinstated. No Atlanta. Until they get a legitimate quarterback, no Atlanta. No, I'm done. I'm done with the Desmond Ridder experiment. Taylor Heineke is better than, significantly better than Desmond Ridder. I know he's not your franchise quarterback. Taylor Heineke, don't kid yourself. If you started him from the beginning with that roster, could go out and win 10 games. In that division, in the NFC, Taylor Heineke could win 100% could win 10 games for you. Instead, they're going to try to convince themselves that Desmond Ridder's it. Let me tell you, he's not. So, new rule, no Atlanta. No Justin Fields ever. I was obviously I was kidding. It was satire that he's the best quarterback in football. I think there's an argument that he is one of the 3 worst quarterbacks in football. I would make that argument and make a strong case for it. He's trash, and so is his backup. I'm going to go ahead and throw proceed with caution with Derek Carr because he's good. That's it. They just don't score enough points.
Yeah.
It's not always his fault, but he's just so consistently average that unless other guys make massive plays, they're just not a good football team.
The Saints are becoming the Falcons right now. It's weird.
God, it's sad. Well, and I knew this going into the season. Dennis Allen's not a good football coach, point blank. He's a coordinator. He's not a good head coach. And so we're seeing that big time.
I love it, though. I'll take it. 4-2, baby. What's up?
Hit number 2 here. Arizona has rounded into the mid-season form that we expected them to be at.
Which is mid.
For a second, it is mid. For a second there, we were like, oh, they're kind of feisty. They can kind of put up a fight. Is there something there? Are they going to win 7 games? And then it was oh, yeah, that was a little wild. Josh Dobbs has a very defined ceiling that we're now seeing. He's one of those, and I think this is what separates a lot of quarterbacks good from great, is Josh Dobbs is good between the 20s. It's in the red zone where it gets a little dicey. They had, 3 field goals. If those are 3 touchdowns in the first half, or even 2 that's a much different game. So, yeah, the defined ceiling for Josh Dobbs. Arizona probably in the top 3 in the draft. The question is, do you go for Caleb or Drake May, or do you keep going with Kyler?
You don't keep going with Kyler.
To me, that's the only question in Arizona.
We had this discussion last week. You do not keep going with Kyler. Do not proceed any further.
I think I might keep going with Kyler.
So
my question. So what if you get? So they traded back, so they get Houston's pick as well, and so Houston will probably have a top 12 pick roughly. I mean, they're 3-3, but we don't expect them to be a playoff team. They'll have a top 15 pick. Do you trade your pick if you're the second pick? Do you trade back to say 8, and now you have the 8 and then the 12th pick, and then you get a couple seconds, and you can get 4 impact players in the top 2 rounds of the draft to supplement Kyler with?
I don't know if that's going to be the thing that helps Kyler. Because, the goal here is to find your franchise guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl. I do not think Kyler is capable of winning them a Super Bowl. That's the problem. So, if you get the second pick in the draft, I would say...
Kyler or Tua?
We said this last week. I said I'd take Tua.
Kyler or Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy. You're telling me that you're taking Kyler instead
Yes,
of Brock
I'm
Purdy?
taking Kyler
That
freaking
is
Murray.
Ridiculous.
He's a world-class athlete, number 1 overall, first-round pick in baseball.
Yeah, so was Michael Vick.
Yeah, and he was good. You would never be like, yeah, I'm going to take Chris Leaf over Michael Vick.
Chris Leaf is not the equivalent of Brock Purdy.
What are you talking? Brock Purdy? Okay, yeah. All right. You in this Kyler slander.
I do not like Kyler.
All right, fair enough. Miss number 2, Chargers are a mess. Off a bye to lose like that. I mean,
So when's Staley getting fired? That's pretty much the question, right?
I just don't know. I don't have an answer for the Chargers. Like, I think Staley probably needs to go. But then on the flip side, it's like, well, who are you going to promote to coach? Is it Kellen Moore, who put up 17 points off a bye? Like, he wasn't good either.
No.
And I think this gives me a lot of, and now Russell Wilson and the Seattle thing has obviously been proven that Seattle was probably more part of the success. But for a little bit there, I mean, Seattle had a bad offensive line, outside of Tyler Lockett, like almost no weapons, and it was just Russ running around making plays. And I said that Russ is more, of the secret sauce than it is Pete. Obviously now we see that it might not be the case. But I think Justin Herbert is the only thing that keeps this organization with their head above water.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's...
If you're talking like rebuild, reboot here, it's Justin Herbert. Everybody else I'm taking a phone call on, including coaches, coordinators, position groups, doesn't matter.
I mean, the problem
it's Herbert, everybody else.
Yes, and I think Herbert's a good quarterback, but like I have my doubts on him too at the moment. When you have your franchise guy, you'd like him to be able to lead like a nice little 2-minute drive at the end right there, especially when you have the weapons that you do, and a lot of them were getting open too. I saw a lot of breakdowns where they showed the field when he still had the ball in the pocket, didn't make the throw, instead tried to scramble and do that weird like step up thing that he did about 18 times. And there's like 3 guys open across the field, one going across, one on a deep fade. Like, you had a lot of options, and you didn't see the field very well.
To me, it looked like he was almost thinking a little too much. Like they kind of overthought the buy, I think. Like, they didn't come out with anything clever, and they kind of overthought it a little bit.
They were flat. They were really flat.
Yeah. Hit number 3, I've said it 1,000 times, and I'm not going to stop until it happens. The Patriots need to make a tribute video, give him a handshake, build a statue, and thank you for your service, Bill Belichick. See ya. Thanks for flying United. Well, we'll fly you to Florida. Here's a fishing rod on us. Thank you for your service. I mean, this is not working. We can sit here and blame Mac Jones all we want, but who's he throwing to? I mean, the waste management staff? What are we doing? Like, what are we doing, really? Come on.
And
let's grow up and realize Bill Belichick is not a good football coach in 2023.
Well,
he's a good defensive coordinator in 2023. You want to go be a coordinator somewhere, Bill? Go by all means. He is not a GM, because he's the GM there, too. He's not a good GM, and he's not a good football coach in 2023. Point blank, end of story. That's it.
We've been saying the problem with Bill is that he has his hand in too many things, right? He's trying to micromanage each part of the front office, from drafting, and he doesn't do well drafting. I mean, you see all the memes all over social media. Like, it's trying to convince Bill Belichick not to take like a backup fullback.
Yeah.
With their first round pick in the draft.
Like, it's just ignorance at this point. Like, going into the draft, we have no team speed. We have nobody on the outside. We could probably use another back. Ramondre Stevenson's good, but we could probably use another back. Instead, you draft 2 kickers and 3 guards. It's like, come on. What are we doing? It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And it's good to see, though. I do like the Patriots sucking.
I mean, it feels good.
I enjoy watching Bill Belichick suffer a little bit.
After watching them win so many times in a row, it feels good to watch them plummet back to earth.
But, I mean, sir, it's a disgrace to football, the way he runs his football team. They need gone. He needs fired.
I agree.
Miss number 3, Derek Carr in this offense. I thought they were going to win the division. With that offense, I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I don't think the coaching staff has any grip on what creativity is. It is Michael Thomas slant, Alvin Kamara dump off. Outside of that, there is nothing going on with this offense. It is abysmal. It is abysmal at best. It's sad. Yeah, I like Derek Carr, but this is bad. I can't watch it.
They're really missing Sean Payton. Is it the coaching? You think it's the coach? It has to be.
I think it's a little bit. I think it's a coaching and Derek Carr problem, because I think they have the guys. I think Olave is really good. I think Michael Thomas is good. Kamara's good. I like their tight ends.
I mean, there's no interesting.
I was just about to say they are probably the most boring watching football.
Them in Carolina. I would say.
Well, Carolina, at least Bryce Young slings it a little bit. I would say probably like New England. And
that's fair.
Like that New England-New Orleans game was watching paint dry. That was brutal. It was just
tough.
bad quarterback play. Whatever. That's hits and misses, though, guys. Don't go anywhere. On the other side of the break, we have predictions for Week 7, as well as bets on a budget at a 60% clip on the year. You're going to want to back us. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back in. It is The Issue, the 19th now of October. Look out. Flying by. NFL season in full swing, heading into Week 7. Just kind of wrapped up Week 6 last segment. Talked a little bit about that Browns-Niners game. Wild. We called the upset. And I talked about kind of how, what do you do if you're the Browns, right? You let go of Baker. You had a really good roster around him. You could, ideally, you go with the more like cheap quarterback, game manager quarterback model, but instead they pay Deshaun Watson. So that's an interesting scenario to keep your eye on as the season goes on. But again, Week 7 predictions around the corner here. I'm now down 2 games. Need a huge week from it.
You really do.
And I talked also about how I'm done picking bad quarterbacks and bad rosters. I feel like there's an argument that I have the better quarterback in all these splits today. So I feel good about it. I feel good about my picks. And then, of course, while bets on a budget after that, we are at a 60% clip right now, 18-12, coming off of a 4-1 week. Looking to keep it going. We got 3 dogs and 2 favorites, and we'll get to that after some predictions.
Feels good. This is always the best part of every episode right now. This is the part that we always look forward to in the offseason, right? And just doing all the predictions and everything. So week by week. So let's go. We're on a roll. I've got the momentum. Let's try to keep this thing going. Week 7 NFL predictions. Every pick for every game. Here we go.
Let's go and start with tonight's game, of course, with the Jags at the Saints. I'm going to go and take the Jags. Look, to me, they're a better football team, top to bottom, right? Even if Trevor Lawrence is dinged up, I think, and if you look at pass rush, offensive line play, which is shaky on both sides, but that's a coin flip there. I would take the Jags.
Yeah.
Run game, I would take the Jags. Kamara's not fully back yet, right? He's still kind of getting his legs under him.
I'm not a huge fan of the Saints right now.
Yeah, there's just not a lot there. There's not a lot of juice, and I think the Jags are still undervalued at this point. I think Trevor Lawrence is playing at a top 5 level right now. The Jags over the Saints for me.
Yeah, 100%. I don't even think too much needs to be said on this game. I mean, you look, there's an imbalance of talent. I think Doug Peterson is definitely a better coach. So, I mean, like, you look around.
100%.
So
100%. Won a Super Bowl. Dennis Allen doesn't have a winning record.
You check all the boxes, and the Jags have every box checked
that you're looking for.
So, yeah,
right.
I'm going to go Jags.
Falcons at the Buccaneers. I thought about it. I can't do it. I can't. I made a rule. I can't just go back on it one segment later.
Yeah.
I got to go with the Bucs. And at this point, there's an argument to be made that the Falcons are a better team. I think they do more things well.
But it's Atlanta. Like, you can't trust them.
Right. That's what I think. They run the ball better. I think they get a more consistent pass rush. I like their DBs better. I like their coach better. But I still can't take them. They're Atlanta. And believe it or not, Baker Mayfield is head and shoulders the best quarterback in this football game, and that's usually who wins games. I'll take the Bucs.
Yeah,
at home too.
I'm taking the Bucs. The thing with Atlanta that I've noticed is even when they get that lead, they just tend to
never
sit
safe.
back. Well, they sit back on their heels, it seems like, and they stop that attacking, and then they always end up giving it up and blowing a lead. So, yeah, I'm taking Tampa Bay. And just a quick side note while we're on it, those creamsicle jerseys were freaking awesome.
They were sweet. Yeah, they were sweet. Too bad they lost. But
yeah.
Lions at the Ravens. Another one where I considered taking the Lions. Goff outside, though, has not been quite as good, right? Goff in inclement weather hasn't been very good. I don't know what it's going to be in Baltimore, but it's on the lake. It is now October, right? Like
Baltimore's on the ocean.
Or ocean, I guess. Yeah, the bay. It's not that far. To me, that could be a wet, windy game. I'll take the Ravens, who run the ball a little bit better in the trenches. So on the road, Detroit's good. This is a really tough spot for them, I think, at least. And the Ravens coming off playing a pretty good game. Now, the numbers say that coming back from London, you usually don't play as well the next week, but I think they play well. They have a good culture. I'll take the Ravens at home.
Yeah, whenever you're going to M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, it's never going to be an easy week. I don't care who you are. It doesn't matter what team. And when it's the Lions, you still have some concerns. They're sure they're getting better, but they're not at the point right now where they go into Baltimore and win in the middle of October.
I would tend to agree, but we'll see. Raiders at the Bears. I'm going to go ahead and take the Raiders.
Yeah.
I don't know who's starting for the Bears. If it's the Bagent or Tyler Bagent or Bigent, I don't know. They're backup. He's not very good. Again, Justin Fields isn't either, but he's slightly better.
I was going to say, even if Justin Fields was starting, I still wouldn't take the Bears.
I don't know. I also don't know who's starting for the Raiders, but also I don't view the Raiders as a quarterback-dependent team, right? Just get the ball to Devontae Adams, let him work, hand the ball off to Jacobs. Their defense has been somewhat better in terms of pass rush.
I agree.
I'll take the Raiders, not super confidently, but I'm going to take them. That's probably the worst game of the weekend.
Yeah, I'm going Vegas as well.
Commanders at the Giants. That's giving them a run for their money for the worst game of the weekend. I'm going to take the Commanders, and it's...
We have one more in here that sucks, too.
Yeah, I'll take the Commanders slightly. Who's good for the Giants? Like, who won the Giants? And the Commanders aren't even a good football team, but it's a pretty good roster. Who on the Giants is starting for the Commanders? The left tackle, Andrew Thomas. Saquon, probably.
Saquon for sure.
Maybe Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah, I just
who else is starting?
Well, then you have to look at like, no, because I mean, I'd take
like
Sam
guard,
Howell
center,
over
guard are
Daniel
not
Jones.
good.
Like
Yeah,
Sam
100%.
Howell.
Yeah,
100% more than Daniel Jones.
If you include contract, absolutely. And Daniel Jones is banged up.
There's nothing to like about the Giants right now.
Bills at the Patriots. The Bills by a landslide. The Patriots can't score points. They can't score points whatsoever. Bills by 1 million.
Yeah, I like the Bills. A little worried about their offense, though. You know what I mean?
Nah, they'll be fine. They'll bounce back week.
All right, big bounce back week.
Browns at the Colts. Browns are a better. I mean, look. I like Gardner Minshew. I've been known as a Gardner Minshew supporter. But you think Gardner's beating that defense?
No.
I mean, let's be real here. Gardner is serviceable, very serviceable backup. He's not winning those games.
Arguably, the best offense in the league couldn't beat that defense this week.
No, yeah, that's a historic defense. The Colts are good. They're not special, and Gardner's not special. And I think you need to be borderline special on one side of the ball to beat the Browns, and they're not on either side. So
no.
Cardinals at the Seahawks. I'll take the Seahawks. I think there's an argument that they outplayed Cincinnati in that game and then lost. They didn't execute in the red zone. Geno had that pick in the red zone. Yeah. A couple things fall their way. I think that could be a 10-point swing going towards Seattle. I think there's an argument that they outplayed Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And so I think they're a much better team than Arizona. I don't really know what Josh Dobbs is. I think there's a defined ceiling.
Yeah, I see that.
His floor can get pretty low as well. He can run a little bit. He's got some movement, but in terms of consistent pocket throwing, it's not there. And against those DBs, you're going to need to pick them apart, and I don't think he's going to be able to do it.
I can just see the Cardinals right now just falling back down to what we thought they were going to be, right? They surprised expectations a little bit in the early season, beat Dallas. Now it's time for them to start racking up losses as the season goes on. Teams get into their midseason form, and they just aren't moving forward whatsoever.
Yeah.
So,
Steelers traveling to LA to play the Rams. It'll be a 50-50 split on fans. You could argue maybe even more Steeler fans. So the road thing doesn't bother me much.
Also, our first split of the week.
I'm going to go and take the Rams. Pittsburgh does not defend the run well. If you can get those pass rushers kind of on their heels, that's kind of the way to beat Pittsburgh is run the football, ball control, get those edge rushers. Because if you drop back 40 times, you're screwed. Like the Highsmith and TJ Watt are going to get after you. If you can run the ball, which with Cam Hayward out, you can through the middle of this defense, and that's McVay's MO. I'll take the Rams to run the ball, win kind of an ugly one, a little 2016 type game.
It's going to be close. I don't feel great about it, but I'm going to take the Steelers. I think they had the bye. They had time to sit and prepare and rest and hopefully figure out something on offense that's – I don't want to hang my hat on being any sort of good, but hopefully it is. And we've seen what happens to the Rams when they play good defenses. It doesn't look great, and I would say Pittsburgh has a really good defense.
Oh, yeah.
Joey Porter Jr. is starting to come into his own. We have a crazy pass rush.
He needs to start.
Yeah, he does. I don't know why they're not using him almost.
And Broderick Jones is going back to the bench. He needs to start too.
Yeah. Don't give me Dan Moore. I know what Dan Moore is.
No, Dan Moore's not good. No. I knew what Dan Moore is.
Yeah.
He's not good. Dan Moore's bad. All right, Chargers at the Chiefs. We're both going to go take the Chiefs to win at Arrowhead.
Yeah. You mentioned if it was in L.A., you'd think about the Chargers.
Yeah, because L.A. plays the Chiefs really well. Like the last couple of years, they've been right there. I think they split with them last year. But I just don't think in Arrowhead that's a game that's winnable, especially coming off an emotional loss like that.
Fair.
And the Chiefs kind of, they know that they underwhelmed. Like a good team that wins ugly, that's the easiest week of coaching and practice. Like, hey guys, we won, so morale's still up. But we know we have so much we need to fix. And you're hungry to fix it. You're almost more driven to fix it knowing that you still want. So you're not playing behind the 8 ball. You still are, top of the standings, but you can still get better. That's the easiest way to coach. I think they come out with their hair on fire, and that's just a tough spot for the Chargers.
Yeah, it is. I never take
with
team
significantly
going to
less
Arrowhead.
rest.
Yeah,
because the Chiefs played on Thursday, the Chargers played on Monday.
Yeah,
that's a difference.
A little mismatch.
That's a lot. Packers at the Broncos. I mean, this is a pick'em game. It's the Packers are favored by a point.
I'm taking the Packers.
You're gonna take the Packers. I'm gonna go take the Broncos. If I die on the hill of Hall of Fame coach and Russell Wilson, I could die on that hill. I'm fine with that hill. That's a good hill to die on. If I die on the banged up offensive line and the Jordan Love experiment hill, I'll kick myself for it. You have the luxury. You can kind of play around with picks a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's what kind of this week kind of is for you. One of those where, like, if it goes well, you really cement yourself in first.
Yeah.
It's more of a risky week for you because I can't die on the Jordan Love experiment hill. I could die on Russell Wilson, 12 touchdowns, 4 picks season so far. That's a good showing so far from him. And the Sean Payton hill. Can't die on the banged up offensive line Jordan Love hill.
Fair
Can't
enough.
do it.
I am rolling the dice this week, but at the end of the day, I don't like Russell Wilson and the Broncos. We've talked about it a lot, and I've explained myself many times.
I worry about the defense being able to stop the run if Aaron Jones is healthy. That's my concern.
I just don't think Russell Wilson has not impressed me whatsoever in Denver at any point.
Well, I'm not saying he impresses me, but he's been playing better this year.
We'll see. I like the Packers.
All right, another one that we were split on that I think, for me, this feels like free money. Dolphins at the Eagles. Again, I do worry. I'll take the Eagles, by the way. I do worry because they don't have a great pass defense. Their corners are pretty weak, and, of course, we know what the Dolphins can do.
Yeah.
But, okay, does Tua not kind of feel like a left-handed Kirk Cousins to me? Like, is it...
He gives off that vibe.
Yeah, like...
But he has way more weapons.
What do they do against a really good defense on the road against Buffalo? Lay an egg, lose by 28. Like, it just... Prime time, he just feels like a lefty Kirk Cousins. Like, I just feel prime time, good pass rush, fans bearing down on you. Like, that just does not feel like a spot for lefty Kirk Cousins to thrive in.
I don't know.
I'll take the Eagles pass rush to get home and kind of make Tua uncomfortable in prime time. I'll take the Eagles by a touchdown.
Now, here's the thing. The Dolphins just have so many weapons and so many guys that can get open. Yeah. It's really hard to defend that. And especially they have early window throws and late stuff that you can get down the field with Tyreek. So, like...
I don't think you're crazy.
I like the offense in Miami a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going Miami.
All right, last one here. We are not split on this one, and this is actual primetime Kirk Cousins. The Niners going to Minnesota. Look, good teams that get humiliated like that show out the next week. To me, this could be a bloodbath. Let's throw out a score. I'm going to go 31-13. Like, I think this could be a bloodbath. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I could see it.
You're going to take the Niners as well? Give me a score prediction.
Obviously, I'm taking the Niners. It's Kirk Cousins in prime time, so you can expect around 3 interceptions. You know what? Give me the Niners. I'm going to go 35-15.
35-15. Yeah, interesting 15, but I like it.
It's going to be weird.
All right, fair enough.
I see them getting a safety.
Ooh, stunning.
But that's about it. That's about all they're going to do.
All right, well, that's all we got for predictions. Let's run back through the splits. You got the Rams, or I'm sorry, I got the Rams. You got the Steelers. I'll take the Broncos. You got the Packers. And on Sunday Night Football, I'll take the home Philadelphia Eagles to avenge that loss.
That sounds great to me.
And then Miami. You got Miami. Yeah.
Another good week of picks coming up here.
Bets on a budget.
Yeah, it's time to get to bets on a budget. We got 5 bets in the NFL,
dogs.
Week 7.
2 dogs, my bad.
Yeah, 2 dogs, 3 favorites. The best bets for your money at the value that we could find them. Here we go, bets on a budget.
I bet number 1, I'm going to go with Detroit +3. Look, they're at Baltimore. In the last... I think it's 3 years. Jared Goff is the best quarterback against the spread in football, and him getting 3 points in what I think will be kind of a windy, cold, wet game is big. Think about last year when Baltimore needed Justin Tucker to hit the crossbar and it flip over from like 63 yards for them to win by like a point. Like these teams are close. They both have a lot of talent, and Jared Goff's one of the most undervalued quarterbacks. I didn't pick it, but this is one of those where it wouldn't surprise me if Detroit wins outright. So me getting points with one of the best quarterbacks against the spread in football, I'll take Detroit +3 all day. Yeah. I'd feel better if it was +3.5, but I'll take +3.
Yeah, I like it. That team is playing very passionate football. Those fans in Detroit are loving it. Have you seen the videos out of Detroit?
They deserve it.
They are rolling right now. So, yes, I don't love the spot that they've been put into. I took Baltimore in the predictions. But this is going to be, I'd say, one of the best games that we're going to see this week.
Yeah, I would agree. Buffalo -8.5 against New England. I mean, first of all, New England can't put up any points. That's problem number one. And the last 3 times Buffalo's played, New England and Bill Belichick, they've punted 3 times collectively. Bill has no answer for Josh Allen's physical. He's a specimen. Now you have the rookie cornerback Christian Gonzalez out for the year. Matt Judon's still out. That defense isn't even as good as we think it was, and it wasn't even that fantastic to begin with. And so Buffalo 8.5, and especially, again, good teams that win ugly. That's an easy week of coaching for Sean McDermott. That's saying, hey boys, we won. We got to clean some shit up, all right? And here it is. Here's what we got to do. And they're gonna fire on all cylinders, hair on fire. To me, that's a 14-point game right there. It's gonna be. There's still gonna be somewhat of a slugfest feel to it because New England, at home, 27-13 type game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's going to be more of a blowout on
13 is a lot of points
side.
for New England. Yeah, maybe 27.
I don't see them scoring
6.
many points, and I don't see them stopping Josh Allen very often either. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take them by a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Cleveland -2 at Indianapolis. I love the number that I'm getting at 2, even 2.5. I'd feel comfortable because I think at the closest, the closest this game could potentially be, I think it's a field goal for Cleveland. I think Cleveland wins by a field goal, and that's as close as I'm going to get. And so for them getting, or I guess I'll swallow the 2 points because I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't think it's going to be a 1-point game. I don't think Gardner Minshew is going to beat them outright. So I'll take Cleveland and that defense, no matter who's starting at quarterback, to beat Indianapolis. And this is mostly just based on their defense going against Gardner Minshew and a pretty inferior offensive unit.
I 100% agree, pretty much for all the same reasons. And I don't like this Indianapolis offense if you take Anthony Richardson out of the equation, right?
Gardner's not bad.
No, he's not bad, but there's just, you get more special with Richardson.
Yeah. First of all, you get the running, but it's just there's not a lot of 8 on the outside either. So
no.
Let's go with the Chargers +5.5 at Kansas City. If I remember correctly, I think 3 out of the last 4 games have been decided by a possession or less. So these LA plays the Chiefs really tight. Yes, the Chiefs win a lot of the games, but they play them very close. Getting 5 points, again, for the Chiefs offense, who has not been clicking on all cylinders. Again, good team at home, should have won the Chargers last week. Will come out with a much better game plan with our hair on fire. I don't think it's a spot they win, but I think the Chiefs win in a very, very close game. I'll take them by 3. I think it's going to be another kind of ugly-ish game. I'm going to go 21-18. Chiefs win, but the Chargers cover.
Yeah, I can see this one being pretty close. I mean, these divisional opponents always, it's never a bad time to watch them.
No.
And they have a way of surprising you. I think the Chargers are a better team than they lead on sometimes.
It's just, look, they get out the leads, and then they let teams crawl back in, and it's close, and they either lose close or
I was talking
they
about
win
Atlanta
close.
doing that earlier.
Yeah.
That's something
that's the Chargers right there. That's the Chargers' MO.
Chargers handbook. I like this game being closer, though, and I can see the Chiefs kind of dropping the ball a little bit on defense here to J. Herb.
Yeah. All right, let's go with San Francisco. Again, staying with the theme of good teams that lost or didn't play very well, bouncing back the next week. Good coaches, good quarterbacks, and good teams generally bounce back. San Francisco -6.5 at Minnesota. This is such a tough spot. And Minnesota already had it tough enough having to play San Francisco. But to get them off that loss
in prime time.
Oh, dude, that's going to be a... they're going to be out for blood. That's already a physical team. You just ramped it up tenfold. That has the potential for me to be a 3-touchdown game. That's got, I think I already put a 31-13, that's got 20-point game written all over it. Yeah, I feel bad for Minnesota. It's a bad matchup that got even worse because San Francisco lost last week.
Yeah. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be one of the most fun games to watch, I guess, just because of the offensive explosion you're about to see from San Francisco and the showing that they're going to put on. It's not going to be a close game at all, but you'll see all those touchdowns on red zone for sure.
I also love the number at 6.5, like because if it's a touchdown game, you're still covered, and I can't. There's no way it's any less than a touchdown game.
No,
like, and it's again kind of going back to the Cleveland thing. At the lowest, this is a touchdown spread, and so to get the 6.5, you're on the right side of the hook. So I'll take San Francisco there. To run back through them, Detroit at +3 at Baltimore, Buffalo -8.5 at New England, Cleveland -2 at Indianapolis, the Chargers +5.5 at KC, and San Francisco -6.5 at Minnesota. One thing I will notice: all road teams. We got all road teams.
Everybody traveling.
I think home field's overrated.
I think in some spots it is, but I don't think you can say that as like a blanket statement. And you're telling me that?
I think in general, I think it's pretty overrated.
You're telling me Buffalo at home, late season.
Yeah. Well, late season.
Green
that's
Bay
different.
in Lambeau Field.
Yeah, I think it's overrated. Like, I think it's only worth probably about a point to a point and a half.
All right.
It used to be like 3.5. I think it's about down to about a point and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
Bets on a budget. Week 7, hopefully keeping it rolling. We're at 60%, 18-12 on the year.
Sounds good. When we will get back, we'll start with the news, and then we'll have the game of the week to wrap things up. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. The Issue's third segment of the day here on Thursday, October 19th. We got a good one. Going to start with the news, and we got the game of the week, Dolphins and Eagles. I feel like that is the most coveted game in week 7
that's
here.
Heavyweight on heavyweight.
It is. Two really good teams. I'd say by far and away actually there are some really good matchups this week. We were between Chiefs Chargers.
Yeah.
We were between this game and then Detroit and Baltimore.
Yeah, that's going to be a sneaky good in that 1 o'clock window. It's going to kind of not get lost, but you know what I mean. It's not going to be as. It's not a standalone game. Like the Miami-Philly game is.
I'm just going to say this week is absolutely built for red zone.
It is 100% built for red zone. I can't wait.
Like the amount of matchups that you have, you would need 4 TVs to watch if we were in the early 2000s.
Oh, like if you didn't have red zone.
Yeah, if you didn't have red zone. But now, you get the one channel, NFL Plus.
NHL's doing like kind of like a red zone thing. It's like frozen frenzy is what they call it. The ESPN's doing that.
Okay. I don't get that though.
Well, because it's every day of the week, damn near teams play.
Right. So like
I think it's only on like Fridays and Saturdays when like every team plays.
Because I was looking at it, like for example, on Tuesday you had about 6 or 7 NHL games, and then you look at the Wednesday one.
There's like 3.
Only because I was trying to find the Pens, and there's only 2 games.
Yeah.
And there were 2 games on Wednesday. So I mean, it's going to be weird if they can implement.
I think it's Friday. They did. I think it's only on Fridays and Saturdays, but whatever.
Interesting.
All right, let's get to the news.
Yeah, news. Let's go.
Story number 1 here: Anthony Richardson out for the most likely, which is kind of like a weird report. You've been hearing weird things where it's like he might be, and then it was like rumor has it he's going to be out for the year, and now it's like Anthony Richardson most likely out for the year. So I guess I'll just report it as that: Anthony Richardson most likely out for the year with that shoulder injury. And here's my concern is that he's so inexperienced that he's going to need to run to kind of make himself viable while he learns to throw from the pocket. Kind of like how Josh Allen did.
Yeah.
We're just jumping over people because he's just so much more physically gifted than anybody else. He's going to run the ball more than he probably should and take more hits. Is he going to be able to stay healthy? Like that was my concern. It's like, I like the whole run a lot till you figure out the league like Josh Allen did, like Jalen Hurts did, like Justin Fields is for, we'll see if that works out. But you have to protect yourself, right? Like, and this is the concern where it's now, yes, he's in the league, but he's getting no reps now. Like, that's the main concern is he's going to be out for the year. He needs reps. He needs experience. Like, he's closer to Trey Lance as a prospect than he is Josh Allen as a prospect in terms of what work needs to be put in for him to be a consistent 15 times a year, you know what you're getting type player. That's my main concern is he's just not going to get the reps he needs.
It's concerning, and you look at it, and you don't know where the Colts are going to go now. I mean, do you tank and try to go get more picks to surround him?
And I like Gardner Minshew, but isn't that kind of tanking?
I mean, I guess it can be, but he's going to win you some games. He won in Philly,
not in Philly, in Baltimore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like when he was in Philly?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, I thought you meant this year.
No,
he
no,
went
no, no.
to Baltimore.
No, like when he was the backup quarterback.
Okay, so you're saying.
In Philadelphia,
Yeah.
and he had to step in for
Yeah,
Jalen
yeah,
Hurts.
yeah.
He played very well. So,
Yeah,
like,
he's a good quarterback.
it's just like, it's a concern, like,
But
what if
did
he plays too good? And then you don't get those good
So I guess
draft
like the only way you can really tank is start offloading. Like their defense is a little bit expensive and starting to age a little bit. Same thing with the offensive line. You could maybe, offload a DeForest Buckner up front because Kwity Paye is coming into his own. They got some nice young edge rushers.
Yeah.
You could unload a DeForest Buckner or a Darius, or I guess what Shaquille Leonard, the middle linebacker, used to be Darius Leonard. Like you could unload some of those guys, but I don't think. And I like Gardner, but are they winning any more than 7 games anyway with him?
I don't think so.
In a loaded draft, like I don't think you fully tank just to move up to like 8, as opposed to where they're going to be probably closer to 12.
Fair.
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Story number 2, the UFC card this Saturday is wild. UFC 294. So obviously you were supposed to have Charles Oliveira fighting Islam Makhachev for that lightweight title. But Oliveira, something with like a cut near his eye, he's unable to go. The medical staff was like, you're not allowed to fight. So Alexander Volkanovski, who is already the champ at what is he the champ at? Bantamweight, right?
I believe it's bantamweight.
Well, now I got to look it up. Now it's going to bother me.
Either way, we've been waiting on this card for a long time.
Featherweight. So he's already the champ.
Featherweight?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's already the champ at featherweight, and now he's going to move up to lightweight on 12 days' notice and get a second crack at Islam Makhachev. He already fought him once, lost a close one. I thought there was an argument he had that fight. If anybody can do it, it is Volk. He's probably he might be my favorite champion ever. I think John Jones is the best, and I think he's super likable because he's funny as shit. Like, hey, I was on crack and I was beat. Like, that's hilarious. Like, I think those people are good for the sport as well. But just an absolute all-out warrior like Alexander Volkanovski, like, don't talk about it, be about it. Like, if you're one of these champs that fight once a year, like, put up or shut up. And, like, Volk will fight 3 or 4 times a year, up weight classes, down weight classes. He is about it, point blank. Same thing with Izzy. And, obviously losing to Sean Strickland, like, you say what you want about Izzy, maybe he's declining. Izzy is about it. Like, if you offered Izzy a fight if you offered him that fight against Islam, if he was able to make that weight, he'd probably take it.
Yeah.
Like, these guys, it's put up or shut up. They don't care.
So, isn't this... we've been excited for this card. Is this card the one that's, like, at a stupid time? It's, like, in the middle of the day?
Yeah, it's 2 p.m.
That's so dumb.
It's dumb, yeah. Well, it's because it's in Abu Dhabi. And so, but the co-main is Kamaru Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Yeah. The co-main is Kamaru Usman and Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev was supposed to fight Paulo Costa. But again, just like Volk, Kamaru Usman, who, yes, is declining a little bit, but is still one of the top 10 to 12 fighters in the sport, takes this fight on, I think it was 11 days notice, 12 days notice.
That's awesome.
That, again, put up or shut up. Be about it. Don't just talk about it, be about it. So he's going to fight Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev and Makhachev, both very good grapplers. Usman and Volkanovski, better strikers. So going to be an interesting fight there. The rest of the card's okay. Nothing too crazy, but definitely excited for that.
With a fight like that makes me wish it was a North American fight because you're not going to have Joe Rogan on the call.
No, it's going to be Bisping, right?
Yeah, this is going to be a subpar UFC experience now.
Well, I mean, I think the card will make up for it, but yeah, it's not going to be great. Story number 3, Trevor May, pitcher from the Oakland A's, announced his retirement, and that's not really that. Nobody really cares. He's a bullpen guy. Good career, but not enough to make the news. But it's what he said during his retirement video that I think is just so funny. Can't play the clip because, copyright and all that stuff, but he basically said to all those in the organization, the A's organization, I love you all. It was a great experience, except for one person. And you just know where he's going with this, right?
God.
As soon as he says it, and he goes, and you guys all know. He doesn't name him specifically, but he just goes, you all know. And then he takes a pause. He goes, sell the team, man. So he's obviously talking about the owner. He talks about how the owner basically didn't work for any of his money or any of his power.
He was
everything. Given all the money, fame, power by his parents, his family. So, I mean, just tearing into the guy. Go look at the video. It is wild. And I have to say, I agree. Like, sell the team to somebody that actually wants to make it competitive.
Yeah.
I would argue the same thing for Pittsburgh. I would argue the same thing for Kansas City. Like, there's so many people with wealth now that will actually make the sport better. Instead, you're just holding on to it because you think it's the right thing to do. No, it's not. No, it's not. Sell the team. Go make a shitload of money. You're going to sell the team and make so much money. Do it. Yeah. Like, you're going to make more money on that one sale than you will in years of running that team. And you take the stress off. Go invest that money. Go move to Florida. Do something. Like, enough. It's. I agree with Trevor May.
Yeah. If you're sitting there telling yourself that Mark Cuban owning the Pirates or Mark Cuban owning any
that would be wild,
because he has expressed interest in it, and if you think that that's really not the best thing for the sport in general or the city
he'll take some swings. He'll take some swings.
That would be so fun to watch. It would be so much better of a product, and it would really help the league. If the league, see, I feel like we talk about this with baseball all the time, where their actions are misguided. They would rather put a pitch clock in than maybe putting some pressure on owners and teams to be better somehow.
To not just
like, if you
blatantly tank to make more money and not care about the actual product that you're putting on the field.
Exactly.
The NFL is all about the product. The NFL gets it. They say they know it's a TV product. It's all about, is this league competitive? Is it interesting? Baseball just doesn't care. It's the bottom line or nothing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which sucks.
Meanwhile, if they worried about their product, they'd have a better bottom line. Just throwing that out there, but whatever. All right, guys, that's the news. Let's go ahead and transition into the game of the week. Miami traveling to Philly. It is a primetime game, Sunday Night Football, and I think it might have been a little harsh to say left-handed Kirk Cousins, and I like, but I like Kirk Cousins. I view Kirk Cousins as a top 12 quarterback. In primetime, he's probably closer to like top 20, but overall, Kirk's a top 12 quarterback, and so me calling to a left-handed Kirk Cousins isn't damning him. He's not. I'm not saying hey he's out of the league, right? But I do think that there are certain players and certain teams that kind of need things to go right for them, right? They need some things to be in their favor. And this could be, at different stages of a team, at different stages of a player's career. Like, for example, Kenny Pickett and the Steelers, young team, clearly don't have the offense figured out yet. Are they, on a talent perspective, on paper, on par with the Kansas City Chiefs? Absolutely. 100%. Top to bottom roster? Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, the quarterback matters, and so you give a slight edge to Kansas City, but is their roster on par with Kansas City? Yes, it is, top to bottom. Are they ready to go into Arrowhead and win a game? Absolutely freaking not. Like, not even close. And so, to me, like, Miami and Tua are at this spot where it's, and I think they're very, very close. They are built, if you are slightly above average all the way down through to like a bad team, you are going to get flat out embarrassed by this football team. We've seen it multiple times this year. But if you are a very good team that controls the trenches, especially being at home, you can kind of have your way with this team a little bit. So that's why I think it's interesting, because Miami's this high-flying team, and Philly at home is going to try to kind of muddy this up a little bit, try to make it more of a physical game, run the football, time of possession. That's what I think it's going to kind of look like. And then Miami's like high flying. Is it going to be raining? Is it going to be windy? It's Philly in October. Who knows? So it's an interesting matchup. That's kind of why it's our game of the week here. Let's get into some keys to victory here. Yeah. Miami offense. Don't fall in love with your run scheme. This is one of the worst pass defenses in football in Philadelphia. I know you want to open up play action. I know you want those middle of the field throws. Yes, so you have to run the football to get that. Don't fall in love with the run just because you need to establish the run doesn't mean you need to die on that hill, right? If you're going to die on a hill, let's die on the Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Tua Tagovailoa hill against one of the worst pass defenses in football. That's the hill I'm going to die on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fine running the football. Don't fall in love with the run scheme. Don't be rigid. If you're running the football in the second quarter and it's just not working, throw the ball. Get creative with the passing game. You can do RPOs and stuff. Remember when Big Ben's last year, we threw the ball like 57 times a game?
Yeah.
But a lot of them were screen passes. You're like, that's an extension of the run game.
Right.
That's what you can do with Miami. Get the ball to Tyreek Hill on a screen. Why not?
I mean, it makes sense. I'm going to take the complete opposite side here than you. Are you done with the...
That was just Miami's offense keys to victory.
Okay.
Miami defense keys to victory. Let anyone other than A.J. Brown torch you. There's not a lot to say there. A.J. Brown's been on a tear. Don't let him torch you. Like, make them run the football. Make Jalen Hurts beat you with anybody else. Make him throw to his second, third, fourth reads.
Yeah.
If he's hitting his back foot and hitting his number one read, you're screwed. Philly on offense, you got to get back to your roots. They've kind of lost their identity a little bit. Jalen Hurts 3 picks. Like, what? He's usually pretty safe. He's running the football. Get back to power running. Jalen Hurts. Give Jalen Hurts 10 to 12 carries. Power running. Drop him back 24 times. Run the football 45. Run the ball down Miami's throat. You're at home. Control the game. You want to give Tua 11 possessions? Be my guest. How about let's give him 8 or 9, right? That's the way to play the game when you're playing a high-flying offense like that. Philly's defense. You got to go 2 high safeties. I know it's a cliche thing against these high-powered offenses. Drop 2 safeties. Don't let them beat you over the top. But make Tua and that offense dink and dunk down the field, right? They rely on 2 or 3 times a game getting a free one. Make them take 11, 12, 13 play drives to beat you because eventually they're going to slip up.
Fair enough. I'm taking Miami. I have my own spiel here. So we got... First of all, you have to look at what Miami is. They're so high-powered. Their offense is so good. They're first in points per game. They're first in yards per game. They're first in pass yards per game. They're first in rushing yards per game. Oh, and don't forget also, their defense, they're third in sacks and fifth in points allowed. So their defense plays really good. This is a matchup, and people undervalue Miami a lot. I
didn't know the defense was that good.
I think this is one of the weeks where they really start to stand out with a road win against the Eagles. So you have then the Eagles, they're 18th in points allowed. So the defense isn't that great. That can mainly be attributed to the pass defense. Their run defense is obviously good, and they get after the quarterback. So my keys to victory for Miami on offense, get the ball to your playmakers, use everybody that you possibly can, get as many yards as you can, and really make that defense tired. Wear them down early.
Here's my concern is that look at who they've beat. They've now beaten Bryce Young, Daniel Jones, Russell Wilson in a 70-20 rout, Mac Jones, and I guess Herbert's a good win.
There's some good there's some good pass rushes in there though.
Was that no? The Chargers was a good pass rush.
Yeah.
Patriots not bad. Buffalo was a good pass rush, but they lost. That's about it.
Fair enough.
I don't know. It's interesting. I will take Philly. I'm going to take Philly close. 27-24.
27-24.
Philly.
All right. I like... I'm going to go 30-28. It's going to be real close.
30-28. All right. Those are our picks.
I like Miami. Comment below what
game of the week,
who you're riding with. This is the first game of the week where we had a split, so it was nice.
Yeah. Feels good.
That's
it.
It's going to be a damn good week of football. Week 7.
What a good episode, huh?
In the NFL. Yeah, it was
a good one.
Full of football, which is how we like it here, especially as we hit our stride in mid-fall.
Yeah,
here
feels
in
good.
October. Guys, thanks for watching. Go check out the website, theissuesports.com. Over there, you can subscribe to the newsletter. You can find all of the different social media apps that we're on, as well as all the different platforms that you can find the show. We are everywhere. All the links are in the description of the episode, or any of the videos that you stumble across. You can find it. It's real easy there. Theissuesports.com. Guys, we really appreciate it. Thanks for spending part of the day with us, and we will catch you next week. That was The Issue.